Most leadership conversations really revolve around the boss or the CEO or the senior pastor, but the reality is they have a second chair. They're standing on the shoulders of somebody else. Today, we're going to talk about what it means to lead up.
All right, welcome to Leading Forward with Nick and Jeremy. We're so glad that you have joined us today. What an honor. Hey, while you're on this, make sure that you like, subscribe, follow, give us a 5-star review. It really does help for other people to be able to find this podcast. And then make sure you share it on your own social platforms. Man, what a great week last week interviewing Rocky Hernandez.
Oh my gosh.
Just discussing AI. I am still working through and unpacking some of that stuff.
I was pretending in the moment like I understood the majority of what he was saying, but the reality, the same thing. I had to talk to Perry about it. I was kind of having some conversations like, babe, did you know? Did you know? I don't know how many times I said that. It was very valuable.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you missed that episode, we would highly encourage you to go back and watch the episode with Rocky Hernandez talking about technology and AI.
Dude's a stud.
Absolutely. All right. So today we're talking about leading from the second chair.
Yes.
And the reality is, no matter where you are, there's always someone above you.
True. Yes.
So we have to be able to navigate this and navigate in such a healthy way. So what does that look like for you right now at this stage of life, this stage of leadership, for you to be in a position of authority and under authority at the same time?
So Nick, that's a good point. So many people are going to be in this position in some way for most of our lives, unless you are just a wild entrepreneur who even CEOs are accountable.
That's right.
But you're going to be accountable to somebody, and you're going to be charged with helping the team win when you're not the top person a lot of the times. For me, as a campus pastor, in the way that we do this church model that we have, we've got our senior pastor. So one of the things that we say is, I'm a son of the house.
Okay, I like that.
And so one of my main things that I'm charged with is, yes, leading a team. So in some senses, I'm the senior person on that team. But man, everything I do is to really honor up, to make sure that the team I'm on stays more important than the team that I lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about that, and I've talked about that with different organizations, that the team that you're on is more important than the team that you lead.
Yeah.
It's a very hard concept for people to grasp onto.
I was going to say the same thing. It really is.
I just want to say it again. The team that you are on is more important than the team that you lead. Yeah. And just making sure that we understand your own position as leader is secondary to the team that you're on, which is part of a bigger whole.
So valuable and secondary.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you're in this campus pastor role. I would guess in the business world, we would talk about a branch manager, a division manager.
Yeah, there you go.
And how that works out. So they're a person of authority. They have a team that works underneath them, but they still report higher up within the whole organization.
Absolutely.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge to overcome in that position?
In one word, ego.
Oh, that's so good.
Ego. If this episode may sting a little bit, a fair warning, right? This is not for the faint of heart. This may require some self-reflection, and I think that's wise. That's what we want to do.
Absolutely.
A bit of a roadmap. If you're just listening, check this out. If you're watching, I had some graphics. We got to figure out a way to bring some graphics in, man.
We have the ability to do that. We can make that happen.
So here's what we want to do. We're going to take a look at 3 principles, all right? So build trust through consistency. That's the first one.
Oh, that's great.
Yep. Number 2, influence with honor and not ego. And then finally, we'll talk about how you add value by seeing what others don't see, seeing what others miss.
Love that. Love those 3 principles. A lot to unpack there. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. Building trust through consistency. Mm-hmm. One of the things that you said there is that you have to evaluate it. There's got to be some reflection. John Maxwell says that experience isn't the best teacher. We've always heard that, right? That experience is the best teacher. But he said it's evaluated experience that is the best teacher. So we have to have some heart reflection, some mental reflection, some reflection of who we are and our own character, our own ego, our own desires to make sure that they are in check. And are we always learning, growing, getting better?
That's right.
So I think that's incredibly important. So building trust through consistency, what does that look like on a daily basis for leaders to really understand?
I think if you have been in a position where you've not done well at this, which is probably most people at some point, especially if there's a lack of trust, if you're second chair, and when we say second chair, it could be third or fourth chair, it could be someone who's not the main decision maker. You've probably had some experiences where, the person, you haven't filled the gap with trust. And, whether it's for cause or not for cause, there was a time when I was with the U.S. Marshal Service, Nick, and I was new to a team. I was appointed as the team leader for it was Charlie team. It was in Arlington and Mid-Cities here in the Dallas area. And I had an assistant team leader who was the number 2. He was second chair, but he was amazing. He was wise. He was a fantastic leader. His name's Tony. And we were on a operation one day, and I brought in another person to help us with some technical parts of the investigation without getting into too much. They were helping us locate using technology. Right. And I started making some decisions on what the team should do based on this guy who was riding with me and some intel that I was getting, and I didn't properly filter it through the process that I normally do. And so when it was time, I said, go, go, go. And we went into a situation, honestly, that was cringy. It was an apartment complex. We got the guy. Everything turned out fine. But at the end of it, Tony said, hey, you got a minute? Meet me over here in this parking lot.
Wow.
And he says, and he had the huevos rancheros to come in and say, you know how cops do. We pull up window to window. And he's like, hey, so how do you think that went? And I'm like, Tony, I know what you're going to say. I know. He's like, hey, it's okay. But like, that can't happen again. And man, it was a sobering moment for me to put my ego down and realize, man, there are important things at stake here. And in that situation, it was potentially lives, but in everyday situations, whatever team you're on, man, there's the mission. The mission is at stake. The team is at stake.
Yeah. Two different things there, consistency and ego. And so we'll hold off on the ego part.
Right.
But on that consistency part, Tony had been a consistent player on your team, a consistent leader on your team. He was consistently having your back.
Yeah, he did.
And so often as leaders, when someone new comes in, we want to take their opinion because it's fresh, right, rather than the person who's been consistently with us, knows the pattern, knows the mission. They know the vision of where we're trying to accomplish. And often we take the new voice over the one who's been consistent.
So true. Yeah.
So, and I think that consistency is a leadership developed skill.
Yes.
It is a skill that you have to develop as a leader. And by consistency, it is consistency, communication, relationships. Are you always building? Those are leadership skills. And consistency builds over time. Those little small drops in the bucket add up over time. I'm writing this book and I'm trying to get finished with it. And it's big dreams, small steps. It's that small steps add up over time and they pay huge dividends.
That's right.
It's the old adage, would you rather have $1 million a day or a penny doubled for 30 days?
That's right.
So a penny goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. A weekend and you only got 64 cents. At day 25, it's only 400,000.
Yeah.
But then it gets to 5.3 million.
Exponential.
And
growth.
That's what consistent leadership does. It has an exponential factor that if you can stay consistent as a leader,
that's right,
even in second chair, your influence gains ground and gains more ability to influence greater crowds.
Oh, I love how you said that. That's Andy Stanley says, trust is earned in drops and lost in buckets.
Ooh.
How true is that? There's a book called Trust by Dr. Henry Cloud. And one of the things that he says, trust is the fuel for life. Trust is the fuel for life. And it's said a different way. It's like it's earned in pennies, spent in $100 bills.
Ooh, that's so true.
You ever
That's
lay
tough.
down 100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you're going, man, that cost fast. And you didn't even know it was costing you.
Yeah.
And so that trust cost you quickly. One bad decision cost you some equity, but you got to continue to gain it, and you got to continue to put into that pot so that you're going to burn it at some point.
Yeah.
Do you have enough built up?
And eventually, if you're consistent, if like we're talking about, the number one, because you're an advocate, you're a counselor, you're a champion of the mission, whether that's, rotating tires at Christian Brothers Automotive, or if it's whatever it might be, if you're a steady, like I look at my number two, it's Nate.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. He's one of the most consistent guys that I've ever met. And he makes the greatest, he's in that chair, in his role. I've never seen somebody do so well. And I know that he's going to tell me the things that I need to know. I trust him because he's been so consistent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we can talk about some of the ego that goes along with that before we get even into that, but there's this biblical aspect.
Yes.
We see with Paul and Timothy. And I think they're one, Moses and Joshua, I think is amazing, and Paul and Timothy, that this consistency over time. The church that Paul planted, he leaves in order to call Timothy to be pastor of it.
Yeah.
Right? How cool is that? That you were the number two and now you're the number one.
Right.
Because you've consistently showed your faithfulness to the leader, to the call, to the mission, and you are living that faith out daily.
You think that story could have gone a little differently if Timothy wasn't
Oh, absolutely.
present, leaned in, consistently showing up, doing the things that a number two does?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the Paul and John Mark and them dividing is the kind of the opposite story. Now they came back together, and he says, "Send John Mark to me, for he has become a faithful minister of the gospel and incredibly valuable to me."
Yeah,
So
that's great.
even when you burn bridges, can you consistently go back and rebuild those things? So let's talk about this next thing. So there's this building trust through consistency, influence with honor, not ego. So your teammate, what was his name?
Tony.
Tony. Tony comes to you, and he could have come to you and go, "What the heck is your problem, dude?"
Yeah.
Right.
Or just gone straight to my boss.
Or gone to your boss and jumped over you.
That's right.
But he came to you, put his ego on the shelf, right? And even when he wanted to throw some punches,
Yeah,
just
sure.
in the conversation, but had a different discipline and spirit within him to make sure it actually made the team win.
Yeah. Because he laid his ego down and came to me with a certain tone in a certain way. And privately, ding, ding, buzzword for everybody, do not challenge anything that the leader does in a public setting, especially if the leader's not there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. The two different things there, right?
Yeah, right.
Two different components of that. If you haven't had the private conversation, don't say it publicly with them there or without them there.
Exactly.
Never, ever talk about anybody that's above you when they're not in the room, right? And so when you bring dishonor to them, you don't bring dishonor to them. It shows your own character. And I think that's what's incredibly important. In any time you dishonor your boss, you are setting yourself up to be dishonored by anybody that you lead.
Because your team sees that.
Absolutely.
And then if you do one day get the boss spot, man, that credibility, that trust, it's just not going to be the same.
It's not.
Yeah.
So the other part of the ego is the leader's response when the second chair comes to them,
Very good.
right? So you could have said, "Tony, it's my call. Shut the heck up. Get in line, dude."
Right.
But you had enough humility to go, "You're right. I want to receive that. I want to hear that." So there's the humility amongst the second chair who's bringing it to the leader, and the humility amongst the leader who's receiving it. And both parts are incredibly important.
And if you are the top man or woman in your organization, industry, region, field, listen to this, lean into this. If you don't have a consistent mechanism, scheduled opportunity, and method of having that feedback from somebody who you trust, That's on you, bro. That's you. You're saying, I don't want to hear. I want people to gossip about me. I want toxicity to build up. If you're not providing a channel for your number two to come in and trust you with some things that they're seeing and hearing.
If you cannot hear feedback, it's on you. And you are creating something incredibly toxic in your relationship. So when thinking about this influence with honor, this humility piece, one of the things that I learned recently is the word humility is not a Greek word. It's not a Latin word. It was a word that Paul created in the book of Ephesians.
Okay.
He coined the term. He created this word. He put two words together, created a brand new term. There is no other use of this term outside of 4 places in Scripture.
Okay.
3 of them are in the prison epistles. In his humility, while he is in prison, he speaks of being humble and having a humility before the Lord. That even the Philippians 2 do not consider Christ not consider equality with God something to be grasped, but humbled himself. That phrase used there. And the other time it's used is in Acts, I think it's 20, when it's talking about the church of Ephesus.
Okay. That's good.
Acts is written after the prison epistles. So this idea of humility is a biblical principle that is not found anywhere else before then.
Wow. So okay, so let's talk about some discernment with that. Let's stay on that just for another minute. And we're talking about honor. And laying down ego and making sure that we influence with honor. If there's a tension, if you don't agree with what the boss is doing, like speak to that for a second. Like what are some things that you could do or should do when you don't agree necessarily?
So is it a preference, a policy, or a priority?
Oh, that's okay.
Is it a priority of who we are as an organization? That we're going outside of our mission, our culture, that you're breaking something there? Is it a policy that you're breaking, which is how we go about things, not really our mission critical, but the policies and procedures, or is this just my preference? And
what would you say for the preference? What should you do with that?
The preference is, I like it this way.
Yeah.
You should have done it my way.
Right.
And your way may be the best possible way to do it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't your decision to make.
That's right.
And so did they violate core of who you are? Did they violate policies and procedures, or did they just violate you? Because of what you wanted? One of the things that I'm really working to unpack for my own life is Proverbs says, it is to your glory to overlook an offense.
Yes. Proverbs 19:11.
It is to your glory to overlook an offense.
That's right.
We live in a world that wants to be offended by everything. Over and over. We want to be offended all the time.
So true.
But there's something that is powerful when you can overlook an offense and put your ego aside in order for the betterment of the team.
Think about how we've seen that done well. And I'm thinking outwardly, right? When I see someone who's been wronged or smited or smeared, and there's a real life example going on right now publicly around me, not me, but I mean that I'm observing right now, and we're living through it. And I love how the person impacted is choosing to not do a single flopping thing about responding, acknowledge, like, yes, there's the appropriate love and all that, but there's nothing that needs to be thrown out there for everybody.
Absolutely.
Stay honorable. Yeah.
So my wife always says that your integrity fights for itself. You don't have to fight for yourself.
Yeah.
And so the way I like to put that is your integrity fights in rooms that you're not in.
Dang. Yeah.
Your integrity fights for you in rooms that you're not in. So is who you are consistent, is who you are humble, is who you are always learning, growing, and getting better. That integrity can speak for itself, fight for itself when I'm not even in the room.
I love it. And I think one of the things, once a decision is made, there's that, hey man, we move from a critic to a champion of the thing. We roll through these, and you can write these down. This may be worth writing down, but it's debate, decide, deploy, and then defend. So meaning
Okay.
there may be a time you can weigh in, especially if you have that consistency and trust and you get invited into the conversation ahead of the decision.
There can only be debate if there is trust.
Absolutely.
And therefore you can have healthy debate, healthy conflict.
Yeah.
In the healthy conflict, the healthy debate is what makes you go from good to great.
Dang, yes. And sometimes you may not get invited into every conversation because your organization may move at a speed, or you may be in such a season where,
right.
hey, we have to bang, 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 make these decisions and then get to a place where we can, all right, let's gather ourselves, let's reflect on what we just did. And once you debate it, once the decision is made, then that's what we're doing.
Yeah. So here's when that gets communicated. Let me start over. When that gets communicated down the line,
Yeah.
leaders have to answer the question of why.
I'm so glad you hit that.
If you don't tell people the why, they will come up with their own why.
Yeah.
And it will never be your reason. So when you tell people the why we made this decision, not just this is the decision, you give them a chance to process it. And it gives them an opportunity to go, I don't agree with the decision, but I understand why you made that decision, so I will get on board.
Nick, do you think, and I'm going to take it to the person who's applying this to parenting right now,
Okay.
do you feel like sometimes that can also apply to parental decisions, like helping your kids understand why you're saying no or not now?
Well, and understanding disc personality, and I go back to that a lot.
Sure.
Some kids are wired to ask the question why, not just because they're a kid, but that's how God has uniquely created them. There are people on your team who like to know why and how and understand the depths of the layers that not everybody wants to understand. So yeah, being able to tell your kid, hey, this is why we're making it, gives them the knowledge and the understanding for how they make future decisions.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So if I'm a parent who's consistently saying, because I said so, consider when it's appropriate and when it makes sense, unpacking a bit of the why so your kid can help digest the reasoning for this. That's just going to help them develop.
Absolutely. And then it gives them a framework for how to make decisions.
Yeah.
So that's true with your team too. When you just say, this is our decision, y'all better get on board with it, and you don't help them to understand, then they don't know how to make decisions in the future that align with the company's core values.
And then months or years down the road, you're the lid because you're the chief decision maker. Groeschel says this, your organization will grow at the pace and at your same ability for you to push decision making down into your ranks.
Down and down and down and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I like to do is with leaders, we like to make A or B decisions, heads or tails, black and white, right? That's the only two options. But so I'll bring out a coin and go, okay, we think these are only two options. But then I'll bring out a dice and go, as leadership team, we have to get to answer 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And we really don't even like 4 or 5. So then I bring out this 12-sided dice and go 9 and 10 are actually great answers. We're actually really happy with 9 or 10. Then we go back to our team and give them 2 options. Do y'all want to do 9 or 10?
Give them some buy-in.
They get to make the decision based upon we did the hard work behind the scenes of not just A or B.
Man,
we
I
got
love
to
that.
9 or 10, which are great options, and then allowing them choose and then own it.
You know what I love about that is the leader's going to form the why, the vision, lay the vision. He's going to direct that. But then when it comes to strategy and decisions, you can open that up a lot of the time to the team. You're the why, they're the what.
Yes.
They're the how sometimes.
Absolutely. So one of the other things that I think is really important about humility, ego, and really understanding influence is you sit in a staff meeting, you sit in a business meeting, and you don't like how things are led. You don't like how things are run. You don't like the decision that was made. You have to choose at that point how you will respond. Mm-hmm. You have to choose that I will choose positivity. I will choose to learn, grow, and get better out of this. I will make notes. I remember being in meetings with different organizations and having, if I'm ever in charge, notes. I won't do this. I will do this.
That's healthy. Yeah.
And I just created this list. But then I had there was this this real temptation of what I was going to do with it within my own spirit.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I wrote is leaders see obstacles as opportunities to get better. Small-minded people only grow bitter. You can get better or grow bitter. It's your choice. You get better, you build bigger, you look back, but you focus forward.
That's right.
And so
Great
every
words.
day when we're in these situations, we can get better going, I can't believe they made another stupid decision. Or I will get better. I will invest in myself. I will continue to get better. I will use my influence where I can and know when to shut up.
Love that. And, you've, as a pastor and in the business world, you've probably encountered many people who said, similar things. There's a frustration. It's growing. There's a history of this. Man, would you say there's value in them evaluating their role on that specific team? Hey, maybe it's not the right team for you. What do you think?
Absolutely. So there's been times I've had to fire people. It's never fun, right?
No.
I mean, you have to let someone go off your team. But when we went through the process and we did all these conversations and all this eval and went through, it actually created a freedom for them.
That's right.
Because they were living in a place that was outside of their strengths, outside of their real passions. So moving them gave them a freedom to go do what they're great at. And so I think that's important. It's okay. We talked about this a few episodes ago about how do you hire and fire. Sometimes those hard conversations give people the freedom.
That's right.
So I do think it's okay for coming out of a meeting, you've been told this information, here's the decision. Go one-on-one with your boss and go, will you help me understand? I'm not questioning the decision. I just need to understand a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I want to be better aligned with who we are. Can you help me understand how you got there?
That's appropriate, and I think it's valuable. We all have something called a flinch response when we receive feedback or hear a decision. And I think we're wise to pay attention and even ask for feedback from our boss or downline or peer. Hey, what's my flinch response when I hear something that I don't necessarily agree with? I've had coaching. I've received coaching on this. Hey, when this person said this was the direction. There was a bit of tell me what your face is saying is another way, and so we need to guard that.
Jeremy, fix your face.
If you need to bend over, tie your shoe, and come back up, get some affirmation to it in the room, and then do exactly what you just said. Get some clarity on the back end.
Well, and I think part of being in the second chair is time to marinate, time to grow, time to really have some self-reflection and understand yourself more.
Yeah.
And so I remember years ago, I was in some therapy, I was in some counseling, dealing with some stress, and I'm sitting there and this therapist asked me a hard question. And I'm sitting there, I'm trying to think through the answer. And he goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to think of the answer. He goes, no, what are you doing? And I said, I really, no, that's really what I'm trying to do is think about what the answer is. He said, every time I put stress on you, you pick your nails. And he goes, why do you do that? I said, I don't know. I didn't even know I did it. But it became this poker face thing that I knew if I'm sitting in a meeting and I'm picking at my nails, what's the anxiety? What's the stress? What's the pressure that I'm feeling right now? Which is all about my own personal awareness. And part of leading the second chair is becoming more self-aware.
Wow. Body language communicates so much. You mean to tell me as a cop and a pastor and as an executive business coach, there's stress? You carry stress?
Just a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But I think everybody does. But do you know what that looks like to your team? Because your team, if any team that you're leading, they know.
Yeah.
They know your tale.
Hey, I want to hit on that third point, man, and that is adding value by seeing what others miss. And some people are just really good at this innately. But there's a quote by Mike Bonham, and he's a co-author in a book called Second Chair Leadership, right? Or Leading from the Second Chair. And the quote says, the role of the second chair is to complement, not compete. Wow. What do you think about that, man? Compliment. Have you failed at that before?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I think this when we talked about ambition, right? That some people are just wired to go be great, go do great things, and there's this temptation that the only way to win is to make you lose. And then therefore this creates this competition. But instead of going, no, we're on the same team, my only win is if you win.
It's like Absalom. Absalom was the second chair in some ways. And so he took time and intentionality to win people over, to coerce them and get people on his team. And I'd say if you're the boss, the CEO, the person who's in charge of, maybe you're the project manager, whatever that looks like for you, be mindful about who you hire as your number two.
Ooh, so important.
If you're a high A person, meaning you have to have drive and you've got vision and you have autonomy and you want to go, you hit the gas pedal. And if you hire someone like you for your number two, let me caution you. I've had this. I hired the wrong person and it became a competition and that caused division.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't address that, and if you don't get that person out of that seat and into the appropriate seat, you're going to have major issues on your team.
Yeah. So if there is division of the vision, two visions,
Yeah.
that second chair who's creating that division, no matter if the leader's in place, they've been, for whatever reason, they are in that position. If that second chair causes division, they are a terrorist and they have to be shot down.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because they are trying to
We're not
bring
talking
damage.
physically and literally,
Yeah.
folks.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
They are creating division. They are saying, I don't want to go where you're going.
Yeah.
And they are creating harm to the organization.
And then you can lovingly help them find where they're going to be fulfilled, which may be running in a different direction, and
right.
more power to them.
You know, the other thing about that quote is the role of the second chair is to complement, not compete. Our wives are amazing at this. Me and Leslie have our Impact Marriage podcast. We've talked about the role of men and women in marriage, and I think that's a perfect picture of what it should look like as well. She's not less than. She has a complementary role.
That's good. Complementary. Okay, let me go to the church world for just a moment. And if we're looking at it through a biblical lens, which we always are, we don't have a choice. That's our call. Biblical lens. And if you're in a church setting right now, and if you're on a staff, now I want to bring our attention to the fact that God has ordained, He has created, He's called for 3 institutions, right? The family, the church, and the government. Like that, those are ordained by God. So if you are in a position within a church, keep this in mind. Keep this in mind. There are people in positions that you may not agree with personally, and still the Bible's clear. Like God has them where they are in that season for His strategic purpose.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with absolutely giving the right feedback and raising the flag if you see something wrong, especially if it's a moral, if it's a values-based error, like make it known and use some common sense and logic. And man, positive gossip only. Know that that person is in that role. And if you were talking smack, to use a slang term, man, I think that's sin.
Absolutely,
in my heart,
it is.
I would be convicted that that's sin.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
So different roles, different people have different roles. They have different gifting. What's amazing to see is Moses' leadership sends the 12 spies. It's only Caleb and Joshua that come back with
That's right.
positive. We don't even know the names of the other guys, for one.
So true.
Okay, so we know Joshua and Caleb. Well, after that, Caleb kind of disappears.
Yeah.
But
It's Joshua.
Joshua becomes the right-hand man of Moses. And here's what I would tell leaders. You feel like you're in this anointed position. I'm not trying to say you're Moses, but you're in that head position. Joshua did things Moses never could. Mm-hmm. And the reason Joshua was able to do things Moses never could is because of the mentorship of Moses in his life. Moses didn't have someone to learn from. He learned from God. He learned from the Spirit. But Joshua had Moses who taught him along the way.
Yeah.
And then, therefore, he is courageous. He is strong. He is able to go take the land that Moses wasn't allowed to go into.
So true, man.
So do you want the person underneath you to do things that you could never do?
I think that's what that's generational legacy leadership right there. is trying to figure out, hey, how to advance the mission, not your contribution as a person to the thing so that you can be remembered, but it's how far can I get this? And then who can I slingshot?
Absolutely.
Who can I launch? How many people? How many people can I send out from here? So if you're CEO, if you're the boss, and if you're not taking people with you, and if you're not looking through a lens of who am I developing? Who's next? Who's in the pipeline? Who can I empower to do more, go further? Just like Moses and Joshua, fantastic example. Consider doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would just tell them with that, whether you're a branch manager, a campus pastor, a division leader, whatever that looks like, honor up, speak well, lead up so that the people below you are willing to follow you.
Amen.
And I think that's really what Leading Forward is all about.
Love it, man. Love it.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us this week on Leading Forward. Make sure to like, subscribe, share this with someone you know.
Yes.
Always find ways to get better, continue to learn, continue to grow, and always lead forward.
Thank you for leading forward with us. If anything you heard today was helpful for you or your team, follow us so you don't miss another episode. And don't forget to share, rate, and review the podcast. We'll see you next time.